the 13th Amendment, thanks to some very positive Republicans. Thaddeus Stevens, Charles Sumner, some great white positive Republicans. From them we got the 15th and 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment gave us citizenship. The 13th Amendment ended slavery, official slavery. It stayed around, but in a new form. The 15th Amendment gave black men the right to vote. So for 20 years in the United States, we were almost free in the United States. Those amendments went in motion. Black people, it's remarkable what we did. We came right out of slavery and started to build communities. The genius of our people is remarkable. The genius of African people in this country. That's why it says no greater people on the planet than African Americans. Ain't nobody can say, nowhere, any place on earth, that any people have gone through what we went through is the most remarkable people on the planet. And so we went forward. Our young ladies all became teachers. Most people don't know that. All of the young sisters, they became teachers. So all the universities became, then the colleges became teacher colleges. Why? Because black women and black men understood that education is power. Remember, I said one of the first things we wanted was education of our children. And by the way, you all don't know this, the first free education for everybody came at the hands of black people at the end of the Civil War. Our Congress people and our elected officials are the first people to push for public education. Isn't that ironic, y'all? We're the first ones. Because see, we come from a civilization that had education. We come from a civilization that everybody was taught to read and write and develop in an education. That's normal for us as black people. Education's our thing. We have 5,000 years of education. So it wasn't no big deal. We just want our kids to get an education. And the same thing, it helped poor white kids. Because white people and poor white people weren't going to school either. They weren't allowed to school either. So with public education, it enabled poor people to get a public education. With that, at the Freeman's Bureau, we wanted medical care. You see? So this thing about medical care that we hear all the politicians talking about, we were pushing that in Reconstruction. We wanted medical care, we wanted money to help us get land, money to help us to start businesses. That's what we wanted. And then what happened? Anybody know? The great, I call it betrayal of the United States government. Because by 1876, guess what happened? The Union government of the United States betrayed those black people that had believed in this government, had believed that they would treat us with justice after all they had done. And what happened in the South, the white folks in the South made a deal with the rich white folks in the North. And they call it the Hayes-Tilden Compromise. And what they did, they pulled all the soldiers out. All the Union soldiers out. They disarmed all the brothers who was in the Union Army. And right after that, guess what happens next? The Ku Klux Klan and white terrorism. All of a sudden, the government went into the closet. I often say it all the time. The U.S. government just went into the closet. So from 1876 to 1900, the U.S. government was in the closet. What happened? An open war on black people. The very same people come out of slavery. Now there's a war against us. By the end of the 1890s, we had Jim Crow. It's already in place. Segregation, Jim Crow. By the end of the 1890s, you have the vote taken away in Mississippi. They take away the voting rights from black people away from us in Mississippi. That's the worst place on the planet Earth. I love my brothers. My folks are from Mississippi. So you know what kind of black men and women went to Mississippi. They were the ones that they said these are the slaves we got to break. We break them or die because they the worst. That means we're the best slaves because he didn't work, we were rebellious, everything that they hated. And so Mississippi black people have a rebellious spirit. That's what we got through slavery itself. And so here we go to the civil rights movement. I'm moving a little fast up until we get to our brothers, the Black Panthers. We have the greatest movement in American history, the civil rights movement. And I want to say this to everybody that y'all don't know about African Americans. When African Americans were brought here, they had three choices. They knew that the idea of color will keep us in a permanent source of what? Repression. Color, just color, skin, nothing more than that. And so the skin thing, the skin color thing, was a means to keep black people in a system of absolute repression. And so what happened in that process, the civil rights movement came forth, thanks to great leaders like Dr. King, Medgar Evers, all the SNCC, all the organizations, the civil rights organizations. And so at the very beginning, when we were looking at this as black people here in this country, we said, well, what's our three ways of survival in the United States? What are they? Well, we had one group of brothers and sisters that said, let's try to integrate with white Americans. Let's try to be good citizens. Let's just blend in with them. We we'll be nice, we won't be a problem for them. All we want them to do is what? Accept us. And just make us equal. We ain't saying superior. We just want to be equal. So we want to go to the schools. The reason we wanted integration in the schools because they had cut the money and resources from the segregated black schools. So, and I hate to say this, I'm a child of one of those black schools. We call them colored schools. I'm a child of that. I started my education in a colored school. I learned 10 times more in my colored school than most kids here in Fresno know in the 12th grade. I learned that in the 6th. By the time I got to 6th grade in my colored school, we knew 10 times more than most of your children know in the 12th grade in Fresno here, or Fresno County. And actually, in fact, the worst possible thing that happened to us is got integrated in their school. Because what we found out, 90% of all our teachers are white women. Now the problem with that is that they don't know black people. They don't know black people. So a little brother comes up to his teacher and wants to hug her, you know, like little kids do. She thinks he wants to what? He wants to get to me. I mean, some of the white teachers are shockingly crazy. This is just a child. They can't even see the child. They see this black guy coming in. He's 5-year-old. Because they don't know us. Because all of their lives they've been taught that we as African Americans are not dangerous, etc. That comes with our culture, what we live with. And so we have the civil rights movement. Anybody remember the great achievement of that movement? It ended segregation. And I tell everybody that. When I celebrate Dr. King's birthday, that's what I celebrate. He was a catalyst to end Jim Crow. And with that ending in Jim Crow, what did we have? We had Voting Rights Act again. You know, remember, we were voting in the 1800s. We were voting in the 1800s. But that was taken away. So, Lyndon Baines Johnson and the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. King, etc., we got what? Voting rights reestablished. We got the Civil Rights Act in 1964. We got fair housing. We got affirmative action. We got all these things that we fought and struggled for. Because who did we lose? We lost Medgar Evers, didn't we? We lost our martyred brothers and sisters in the Civil Rights Movement. And finally, we lost Dr. King himself. Now that takes us to the Black Panthers. Which the first group I said wanted to integrate, wanted to get along, white people, etc., etc. The other group, like the Panthers, the Nation of Islam, and my hero of heroes, Malcolm X, we talked about self-determination. We wanted to believe that we need to be fighting for human rights. We thought we could get all we could get from civil rights. And what we found out, all the electors, the new elected people, they were undercutting the civil rights movement. You had these Republicans came to government, their number one target was against the civil rights movement. Everything that we pushed for, they were against. I'm talking particularly Republicans. Ronald Reagan was really a real monster. Him and this other preacher in World War I, I can't think of his name, really racist. And so what happened, by the time we get to 1970, I believe, the Panthers start, 1970, this is a very important day. Bobby Seals and Huey Newton are the founders. Quick minute.
66.
What's the date?
66.
Thank you. 66. Bobby Seals, Huey Newton. Most important movement in the country, because by then we had found out that the civil rights movement had been undercut, unplayed in every possible way. It was moved against everything we had struggled for with King and civil rights movement. And so we took the other path, and that path is toward human rights. And so I'm a student of Malcolm X. I'm a very student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All of them, and student of Malcolm X, not only that, but Marcus Garvey. These are my people that I'm a follower. I studied them. And they put forth, especially Malcolm X, the idea of human rights and not just civil rights. And the human rights struggle, and I want to just key basic things for human rights. And this is the foundation of the Black Panther Party. Because the Black Panther Party and their 10-point program is all about, which I'll share with you in a minute. It's all about our human rights. And we have to understand it from that perspective. First human rights is the right to land. That's, the Panthers were the students of Malcolm X, just like I'm one of them. The next human right is right to self-determination, that we should govern our own lives, our own communities. Wherever we are, we should govern that. The right to self-determination. The right for self-reliance. We need to own our own businesses, develop our own wealth for our children's children. That's why we're here, for our children's children. So economic empowerment is most important. So when I hear these guys, everybody running for political office, the one question I'm asking, are you talking about empowering African Americans with money and resources so we can help ourselves? That's our fundamental right. The next human right is the right to self-defense. Now, whenever black people talk about self-defense, everybody gets crazy. We get killed, shot. Everything happens to black people. The very moment we start to talk about, and that was the name of the Panther, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. And why? Because it was open season on young black people, on old black people. The police just took an open season on African Americans. And so our human rights said every people have a right to what? Defend themselves and right to self-determination. And so self-defense was one of those human rights. Another human right that we overlook right now, the right to food, clothing, and shelter. We call that human service. It's a right to have medical care. It's a human right. It's a human right to have food, clothing, and shelter. Our people should not be homeless and the richest nation on the planet Earth. There should not be homeless. Should not be no homeless nonsense. This country's got total tons of money. You understand that? And so, another human right, very important, is a right to an education. I just told you guys, I learned more in my little 6 years in my public school than most of your children is learning in the 12th grade. I'm just telling y'all the truth. You know, I do some volunteer work in the community. I work with the Bullard Young Men. We got most of y'all don't know this, but the largest number of African American male children in high school is at Bullard. Most people don't know that. And so, you know, I know another organization, United Black Men. And so we get together and we go to meet with those young black men. Nobody's talking to them. That's why they're crazy. That's why they tell y'all stupid nonsense. Because nobody's told them what it means to be a man. What it means to respect black women. They haven't been told. They don't know. And so it's our job as men to socialize our men to be builders, creators, protectors, and providers. That's our role as men. And so our job is with our young men is to teach them that. That's part of their education. All over the world, all men are taught that. Everything I just said, including white men, all men all over the planet is taught what I just said. It's a given. And so when black people get together with their young men, now it's dangerous. You know, it's a threat. But we have to do what we have to do. And so education is one. The other, and the Panthers talk about this in everything they write, and I'm going to go over that in a minute. Everything the Panthers talk about is ending police brutality and stopping the criminal justice system of being a fascist, anti-black system of destruction. Our greatest shock, y'all should have been shocked. Who was our first black president? Who knows? Who's our first black president? Some of those real scholars, there's some older ones. It's, of course, Barack Obama, right? What did y'all notice? More black men and women were shot, carried out terrorism by the police during the time of his presidency. Have y'all noticed that? All kind of mess. Young black men and young black women. This is during his 8-year reign. And they had him so buffaloed he can't say nothing. I can't say nothing about, you know, wait a minute, brother, come on. We gave you 90% of the vote. And that's why this time, brothers and sisters, everybody got to give us something. Us. I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about us. So when I look at politicians now, they got to have some tangibles for African Americans. You know, we have been stripped of everything all the time. Every time we want to give something, it's to everybody else but us. No. And so, the idea of education is a human right. And finally, one of the great human rights, I think if I didn't say it before, is the right to own and control your economics. Now, that's the foundation of the Panther Party. The Panthers brought the idea of human rights rather than just civil rights. They didn't just beat up the civil rights people. They just knew that we had to take this to another step. And so I think, and what I want to share with you is that 10-point program. I wish we had a copy that would give everybody the 10-point program for the Panthers. Anybody, y'all got a copy?
It's in the literature on these tables. It's in the literature on these tables.
It's in the Black Panthers.
Okay, well, everybody take it out. Can we all do this together? We did it earlier. Y'all did it earlier?
We went through
Can we
earlier
review
point
it?
by point.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it again.
Please, let's do it again, kehinde.
Black Panther on the back page. You need one?
in my language, so I can talk to you guys. But you guys know what it is, but I have to just say, this 10-point program is magnificent. I'm gonna say that again. This 10-point program is everything we need as a people. Everything we need. First of all, the freedom for what? Self-determination. We have to govern ourselves. Nobody else should speak to us. We must govern ourselves. Number two, we want full employment. We're still talking about that. Think about it. All these 10 points, all these problems we still have. After the destruction of the party and everything else, all the issues that we had before, we still have now. Number three, we want to end to what? Robbery of our wealth and our resources. We want it, in number three, reparations, some form of reparations. That's number three. Number four, we wanted to, we wanted housing for our people. So we all have decent housing. You see the problem we got right now. All over the South, all over California, we have a housing issue in the black community. And that's one of the major issues of that the parents just talked about in their 10-point program. We wanted education, the real education, not the BS, but the real education. And we wanted the education of knowing our history and our culture. Because brothers and sisters, when you know your history, when you know what your ancestors is given to the world, ain't no way in the world you can have an inferiority complex. There's no way when you know how magnificent we are as people and what we've done. And what we've done for this country and what we've done in the world as African people. And so education is a must. And I'm saying to a lot of my friends, we may have to stop talking about public schools doing that for us. We may have to do that ourselves. We're going to have to think about having community academies, okay, where we teach each other, where we teach our people where we need to be, and teach our history and our culture. We need manhood training for our children, womanhood training for our children, for both male and female, so we can build a community. We want black men exempt from military service. It makes brilliant sense to me. We're going around killing other folks and blowing up their countries, and we still here in an essence of plantation ourselves. So number 8, I think that's number 8. No.
That was number 6.
Number 6, thank you. Okay, number 7, we want black men exempt from the military service. And the next one, we want immediate end to police brutality and police murder. Yeah. And number 9, we want all the brothers and sisters locked in these prisons to be released. And why? Because they haven't had fair trials for anything that they have not had back. And so, number 9, we want fair trials for our people, and we want our people to be judged by their own communities, just like white people are. They can get judged by their own community. And we have the same right to a fair trial. So we want the fair trial for our people. We be judged by our own peers. And then number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. This is the foundation of where we're going to go and what we're going to have to deal with in this 2020 century. Because I want to close what I want to say right now. We are in, I hate to say it, but I got to say it, the election of Donald Trump meant that African Americans are now in a formal, informal state of war. Because everything that we struggled for is being dismantled. All the civil rights stuff in the federal government right now, and the federal bureau, is being taken out. So as you're looking at Trump, talking about what else can you do, he's moving he's putting federal judges, I call them Ku Klux Klan judges, throughout the federal system. So, that 10-point program, the Panthers might have been taken out, they might have been abused, all of the things that have been done to the Panthers and done to the brothers and sisters who supported them. That came with a struggle. That's part of the struggle. But what they've done, they have given us a blueprint. Because if we're going to live in the United States, those 10 things that's in the Panther Papers, that's everything we need to know and everything we need to do if we're going to live in the United States. Does that make sense to everybody? Everything in there is what we need to do. That the Panthers is already, they gave us a blueprint. And I want to give y'all a little good news. You are now a part of Africa. Y'all don't know that, but you are now a part of Africa. The African Union, that's the organization of all African states, has given African Americans and African people in Brazil and all out through the Americas in the diaspora. You are now part of the 6th region of Mother Africa. Your continent, by the time my grandson and granddaughter will be grown adults, Africa will be the most powerful region on the planet Earth. Because Africa has everything. And what's very positive, I want y'all to know, and I talk to all the young brothers and sisters, I'm telling all the young brothers and sisters, please get your education and get your passports. Get your education and get your passports. Because your life, and I'm very happy. I won't be here for that. But I'm very happy to say that for our young people, that 400 years of sacrifice, you now can go home. You now can build wealth. You can do that now. That's not going to happen under Trump. So if you think that black people are going to get very wealthy under Donald Trump and Republicans and white people in general, that's just not going to happen. Not in this life. Maybe 10 centuries from now. But you have the wealthiest real estate on the planet, and people, brothers, they know we've been taken out. Some of them helped get us over here. They know now that it's time for us to come home. And so for our young brothers and sisters, learn some Swahili, learn about Mother Africa. This is going to be part of your future. Us elders, all we can do is give them love and go forward. Make sure our children get an education, because education for you is your life survival. You understand what I'm saying? You don't know nothing, you don't have a place in the United States. I'm just telling everybody that. Okay, any questions before I sit down? I hope, yes, sir.
I was looking forward to hearing more about like the first black president, the very first black president.
I forgot his name.
And I mean, just the fact that you speaking on it. I mean, I'm not holding you to it, but just the fact that you acknowledge there is a first one before Obama, and then also that there was many black many black politicians, many of them, a lot of black politicians back then in that time frame, and also they're the majority of the Republican Party back then as well. So let's acknowledge that.
The party flipped in 1940s.
Okay.
And it went from, you had these old racist Democrats, Dixiecrats, they call them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, the Democratic Party supported civil rights. When the Democratic Party supported civil rights, the racist Southern Dixiecrats flipped and went into the Republican Party. Now the Republican Party is now completely the Dixiecrat racist culture. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So we were one-time Republicans.
Absolutely.
My mother and all the elders around me, they were all Republicans. But when the Civil Rights Movement came, at the beginning of the Civil Rights, that's when, and the end of the Depression. Remember Roosevelt and all of that? Mm-hmm. The end of the Depression. That's when we got more black people in the Democratic Party.
And we did at one time establish the very thing you're talking about back south as well. Excuse me. Excuse me. The words just fell in my mind right now. But
Little time, right, sister?
black.
Just a little time.
You're gonna come back on, Brother Kehinde, we want to hear from our.
Okay, Black Wall Street. Shout out to Black Wall Street. We once established
Yes.
once in this country under the pretenses that you just spoke about.
That's right.
We were well established.
That's right.
And we were only
And
gaining.
it wasn't just one, it was a numbers of them.
Absolutely.
Yes, so when I come back, we'll talk about it again. All right? I'm gonna be here the rest of the day.